Good to have you with us on this Tuesday edition. Ed Schultz, Susan commentary. I'm going to lose it here. No, I'm not going to pull a Laura Ingraham, but I am going to lose it here just a little bit. I am so sick and tired of the Clinton campaign missing the dartboard. I'm sick and tired of being told over and over again, and she's going to win probably all 5 states tonight. Good for her. That she can get things done. Whoa! Can we reel this back in for just a minute? Who is she going to get things done with? The Republicans? You people out there who support Hillary Clinton, have you no sense of who the Republicans are? That they are the masters of destruction when it comes to an agenda? That they will filibuster everything and block everything that's a liberal idea or progressive idea? Have you not learned anything over the last 7.5 years? Do you really think that if Hillary Clinton is president of the United States, that she is going to get Paul Ryan to see the world the way she does on any level, on any issue? And this is what just drives me crazy. So to move it forward to the conversation, well, how is Hillary Clinton going to get these Sanders supporters to get on board? They might not, because they know who the Republicans are. And all of these Sanders supporters aren't out there saying, well, what do you think we be bipartisan and work with Paul Ryan? And what do you say we privatize everything they can get their hands on? Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and the post office, of all things. This is who they are. Bernie knows who the Republicans are. But all of a sudden, Hillary Clinton, she's going to be able to get things done. At whose expense? Change CPI? I'm not for that. Where's the march on Capitol Hill to make sure that we privatize Social Security? Well, Hillary's not going to let that happen. Well, how is she going to get things done? Because this is what the Republicans want. And you know what the Republicans do? They vote time and time again to get rid of health care. Oh, she'll veto that too. Yeah? Well, what's the next step? What is the next phase in health care when you're dealing with Ryan and these people in the House? Tell me. I'm curious. All you Clinton backers? I think you're living in a dream world if you think that, well, just because Hillary Clinton wins a nomination and she goes on as president, all of a sudden the Republicans are gonna play nice. Come on down, let's play the game. The reason why Bernie Sanders is now laying down the law and saying this in a town hall meeting last night, because he knows who the Republicans are. He knows what they're up to, and he knows that they are unwavering in their conservative stance to help the corporations at any expense and to make sure that they destroy the progressive agenda no matter who brings it forth. And so when the question comes up in a town hall about, Bernie, are you going to tell your supporters to support Hillary Clinton if she wins the nomination? This is the perfect answer. This is the best answer that I have seen on the campaign trail by any candidate anywhere, because it is the truth. Here it is.
I think it is, we're not a movement where I can snap my fingers and say to you or to anybody else what you should do, because you won't listen to me. You shouldn't. You'll make these decisions yourself. I think if we end up losing, and I hope we do not, and if Secretary Clinton wins, it is incumbent upon her to tell millions of people who right now do not believe in establishment politics or establishment economics, who have serious misgivings about a candidate who has received millions of dollars from Wall Street and other special interests. The point that I am making is it is incumbent upon Secretary Clinton to reach out not only to my supporters, but to all of the American people with an agenda that they believe will represent the interest of working families, lower income people, the middle class, those of us who are concerned about the environment and not just big money interests.
Okay, now think about that. The environment, we'll back it up. Where do the Republicans stand on the environment? They're not going to do anything because they don't believe in climate change. So how is Hillary Clinton going to get anything done? Working families, really? Do we have a tax package on the table from the Republicans that they're going to work with Hillary Clinton on when it comes to helping the middle class in this country? And how about working families? What kind of work are you talking about? You talking about union workers? Are you talking about this attack on labor that's taken place? When are the Clinton backers? And if you're a Clinton backer, I am talking to you. I want you to tell me on my website through a blog, wegoted.com, that I'm wrong. That the Republicans are all of a sudden going to play nice if Hillary becomes president of the United States. That there really is not an ideological fight for the country. That all of a sudden everything's changed because the black guy is leaving the White House. And that they're just going to be all warm and fuzzy and they just can't wait to forget what they really want. The Clinton campaign is concerned that what you just heard come from Bernie Sanders is too far left. They're afraid that this isn't going to play well in the general. Let me tell you something. If Hillary Clinton, if she wins a nomination, doesn't go down the road of what Bernie Sanders just said in that soundbite, she's not going to win. Because it is up to her. There has been a real statement that's been made across this country by enough Americans to make a difference. And I'm not talking third party. No, I think the Democrats have got to have the White House. But if you Clinton backers out there think that she is going to be able to get things done, forget it. This is about change. This is about moving a progressive agenda forward and getting power. It's about power. You know what power is? Power is when you have the White House, the House, and the Senate, and you do what you want, legislatively and in the executive branch. Just like the Republicans. When they get power, they know how to use it. When the Democrats get power, well, let's go see if they want to have lunch and negotiate what they want. That's not going to take America anywhere. So whereas you Clinton backers get your back up when I get pissed off and start throwing this stuff around about what's happening with the ideological fight for this country, don't come back and get on my blog and get on my Facebook and say, oh, yeah, you just hate Hillary. No, I don't. I happen to really like her. I just think she needs to get real on the campaign trail and just say there is an ideological fight for the country. There's a fight for the direction of this country. But Hillary's got all of her surrogates all over the cables saying, well, she's a progressive who can get things done. She's a progressive who can get things done. With who? With Paul Ryan? Get things done with Mitch McConnell? You think Mitch McConnell's number one goal isn't going to be to get rid of the Democratic president, whoever it might be? You think that they're just all of a sudden going to change and say, well, we got rid of Obama, so now we can really work to get things done? That's all bullshit and you know it. So the reason why Bernie is saying what he is saying is because he knows who the Republicans are. And it's about time all of you Clinton backers out there realize just who the Republicans are. When we come back, Ruth Conniff of the Progressive Magazine. Lori Wallach is also with us today. And I got more sound cuts for you. Stay with us. Communication Workers of America, Alliance for American Manufacturing, Bio Green Clean, and the iSave team bring you this production. We're right back. Hey, folks, you've heard me talk about Bio Green Clean. I'm going to show you right now on my airplane just how tough this is. I want you to keep in mind, chemical-free, 100% plant-derived, biodegradable. It is the safest cleaner that you can get, and it's the most effective. Go to our website, wegoted.com, or go to biogreenclean.com. www.biogreenclean and order today. It's time to continue our conversation about mechanical insulation. Mechanical insulation is for the piping systems in our nation's commercial and industrial facilities. Facility owners are burning up billions of dollars through the lack of mechanical insulation on these piping systems. Call the iSave team. Insulation saves America valuable energy, and this team of energy conservation specialists is shovel-ready to save you money. Visit iSaveTeam.org to have a specialist give your plant an energy audit. The News with Ed, RT. You can get it at RT.com. Then you click on this word live. You can watch my show every night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. The News with Ed on RT America. All right, so Hillary Clinton also had a town hall last night, and she made the case that back in 2008, she didn't have any conditions about whether she was going to support Barack Obama. So she's basically trying to hold a gun to Bernie Sanders' head saying, hey, look, after I win this nomination, you better bring your people over to my place. It doesn't work that easy because Clinton was a lot like Barack Obama. Super PACs, Wall Street money. That ain't Bernie Sanders. That's the difference. It's a huge difference. Huge difference. All right, so do we understand where we are, folks, in my commentary about how all this has got to come together? It is up to Hillary Clinton to move forward with a progressive agenda. And that's why I think our convention on the left is going to be far more interesting than what the Republicans are going to be having. For more on all this, let's go to Ruth Conniff, editor of the Progressive Magazine. Ruth, good to have you with us.
Great to be with you, Ed.
This is a big night for both campaigns. If Hillary Clinton, by polling, does win all 5 states tonight, and let me be very clear, there's no public polling in Rhode Island, and there's no public polling in Delaware, but she has a huge lead in Connecticut and also in Maryland and double digits in Pennsylvania. But the Sanders people are confident they might be able to pull it off in Pennsylvania tonight. What if she wins all 5? Does this somewhat set a message that, you know, there's just no way Bernie's going to get this thing done? And that so how pivotal, in your opinion, is tonight?
I really think this is it. I mean, I think he's got to do well. He's particularly got to do really well in Pennsylvania, and it gets harder in terms of delegate math. But we've talked about before. It's not just that; it's that a lot of Hillary voters are voting for Hillary because they think she's the one who can win, and that narrative became almost counter reality when he won 8 out of 9 primaries. It was like, how can you keep calling her the winning candidate when she keeps losing primaries? Well, that changed in New York, and if that trend continues tonight, then it's hard for Bernie to recover, both because the delegates are slipping away, the super delegates are unlikely to change their minds based on what's happening. He sort of loses momentum.
Okay.
But, you know, it's not over. I mean, I really think the Hillary campaign has been so quick to want to announce the end of this race over and over again, and it is not over yet.
Well, the question comes up. Last night at town hall, Bernie Sanders pretty much said it's up to Hillary Clinton to reach out to his supporters. He can't tell his supporters what to do. It's not that kind of a political movement where there's followers. There's people who want real change. I mean,
that's true.
You know, and so where does that go? I mean, there's almost a sense of arrogance on the part of the Clinton people. And the candidate herself, citing 2008, there were no conditions for her to support Barack Obama, almost demanding the support of Bernie Sanders. What do you make of that?
I mean, I think the Clinton campaign and Clinton supporters see their problem as Bernie Sanders. He's the obstacle they have to overcome. And that is not how Sanders sees it, nor how his supporters see it. They see it as a movement. So Bernie Sanders as an individual he's right that he can't make his supporters vote for Hillary Clinton because the reason they're supporting Bernie Sanders is that he's not the status quo, he's not the Wall Street candidate, and it's not going to be that easy for him to make that sale, and it is going to be up to her. Now, is it politic for him to say that now? I guess it depends on whether you think this thing is over. Sanders is still fighting. He's not about to say, yeah, I'm going to make my endorsement now. You know, the Hillary people have been really pressuring him to do that, and I think he's right to fight it all the way to the end, and I think that he's right that he can't make his supporters vote for her.
But he's in an untenable position to stay real with his people, because supporting Hillary would say, you know, you're condoning her operation when it comes to super PACs, when it comes to Wall Street, when it comes to the connection there. And that's just not what he has been about. And it would really be the lesser of two evils. He certainly doesn't want Trump or Cruz or Kasich in there, so he would be cornered to vote for Hillary. I think a lot of Americans are going to view it that way.
I think a lot of young, idealistic people who support Bernie Sanders are not going to get off the couch to vote for Hillary Clinton. But I think that it is a respectable position to say, you know, electoral politics is electoral politics. We need to build a movement. But that doesn't mean we're not going to go to the voting booth and vote for the less terrifying candidate. You can do both of those things at the same time. So I think that Bernie Sanders is not an impossible position in terms of ultimately saying, yeah, you're going to vote in this election. You're going to vote for the person who's not going to, you know, destroy the country. But we need to do something better than this, and we need to continue to build a progressive movement.
This is Senator Sherrod Brown. I want to talk about trade for just a moment. During an interview with CNN last night, Brown was talking about defending Hillary Clinton and her position on trade. This, of course, has been a big issue because of the trade deals at TPP and also TTIP with the transatlantic deal that Obama was trying to sell earlier this week with Angela Merkel and also David Cameron. Here's what Brown had to say.
So Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State. She worked for him. Of course, she supports the policies of her boss. But the fact is, she is going to look at a very different trade policy. I don't take a backseat to anybody on trade issues. I'm leading the opposition in the Senate to the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I've written a book on trade. I've opposed this trade agenda through presidents of both parties. I see something different in Hillary Clinton. She wants a trade prosecutor. She's going after currency. She's going to stand up strong on keeping China designated as a non-market economy. And she understands better than any of the other candidates in either party what to do with a different trade policy. All four candidates.
I got it. That's a very important soundbite, because if that's the case, what Sherrod Brown is saying, then Hillary Clinton should be telling her colleagues in the Senate, her friends in the Senate that she used to serve with, we got to kill this deal. And you got to follow me on this. I mean, we're back to that, I think. Ruth, your thoughts?
I think Sherrod Brown is a very smart guy, and I think that he's enumerating positions that he wants Hillary Clinton to stick with. She has switched her position frequently on this. So, it happened in 2008. She became a big critic of unfair trade deals when she was running against John Edwards in the upper Midwest. And now she's in a similar position. She used to support the TPP, thought it was great. Now she's against it. And I think, part of the way labor needs to build its power, and progressive folks like Sherrod Brown see that through, is to enumerate these positions and really hold the candidates' feet to the fire on the specific policies that they promise.
Your thoughts on Cruz and Kasich trying to undermine any attempt for Trump to get the nomination?
It just lasted for about a minute. It did not last very long. I don't know. It's funny. I know Kasich voters. The old Tommy Thompson Republicans in Wisconsin, before Scott Walker, are Kasich people. Didn't really put him on the board here. And Kasich himself is an interesting character. He made this deal, apparently, to get out of Indiana, and now he's telling people in Indiana to vote for him anyway. So I just don't think they can get it together.
That is about where I'm at on it, too. It didn't last very long. No pledge of allegiance between those two guys.
No.
That was the shortest 15-minute news cycle I think the Republicans have ever had.
Oh, well.
Yeah, oh, well.
Do it.
Ruth Conniff, always good to visit. Thanks so much.
Yeah, great to talk to you then.
From the Progressive Magazine, the editor, Ruth Conniff. When we come back, Lori Wallach on trade. She was in Germany. She'll tell you the passionate people's response when they were talking about the transatlantic trade agreement, which Obama was pushing hard. We're right back. Stay with us.
We perpetuate a culture of crime all the way from Wall Street right down to the main street in our hometowns. It's worse than it has been since FDR took control of the problem and said we can't count on industry taking care of the American labor. They probably have already engaged into some type of criminal cover-up, and the law prohibits the government from even doing anything about it.
Catch America's lawyer Mike Papantonio on YouTube at youtube.com/GoLeftTV.
Communication Workers of America, Alliance for American Manufacturing, BioGreen Clean, and the iSafe team bring you this production. All right, now if you listen to this copy for just a second, it really sounds like a used car salesman on a lot on a Saturday morning trying to get people to come out and buy a car. This is how they're selling the Transatlantic Trade Investment Partnership, TTIP. TTIP seeks to remove remaining trade barriers between the United States and the European Union and harmonize safety, environmental, and consumer regulations. Stop on out, $9.95. It's almost insulting the way they're trying to sell this, and it wasn't very well received in Europe. When people found out what this deal was all about, they had the same reaction that Americans have had across this country about the TPP. And behind the information of it all and the truth is Lori Wallach. She joins us. She's the director of Public Citizens Global Trade Watch. Lori, good to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
You were in Germany. What did you see? What did you hear at these protests against the TTIP, which President Obama was selling hard to Merkel and also to David Cameron?
Wow, wow, wow. They had between 70 and 90,000 people on the street. They only started organizing this march in December, and it was a huge cross-section of little old ladies and moms and dads and families and youth activists, but it represented all of the different parts of Germany and a huge number of different concerns, because people in that country have woken up to how damaging to their jobs, their wages, their food safety, the environment, this NAFTA-style agreement between the U.S. and Europe could be. And they have literally shifted the entire debate on the agreement, taking something that, 2 years ago, this is definitely happening, and turning it into really a crisis through citizen activism about whether they can even sign the dang deal.
So no continent is safe when it comes to the race to the bottom on wages.
Sad but true. I mean, when it comes to this U.S.-Europe agreement, to some degree, Europe has a lot more to lose than we do. I mean, it's not as big of a difference, say, as between the U.S. and Mexico in NAFTA. But the Europeans' food safety standards, their environmental and chemical safety standards, their consumer privacy standards, they're all a lot stronger.
And what you just mentioned, what you just mentioned were quality of life issues, weren't they?
The things that make sure your family has safe food, that your family can be healthy, that the climate's not going to destroy the planet in your children and grandchildren's lifetimes. These are policies that folks in Europe have fought for very hard, and they've put them in place, and the TTIP threatens to roll them back. And then at the same time, the major economic studies about the outcomes show that TTIP would cost hundreds of thousands of European jobs. In fact, where manufacturing now happens in both the U.S. and Europe, they just shut down the European part and make it in the U.S. But also the wage levels in Europe, where there's a much higher unionization rate, et cetera, would be brought down dramatically towards U.S. wages, which, as we all know, are not living wages for many people.
Yeah. So bottom line here is these corporations want this deal because it costs money to adhere to these regulations, these safety regulations. You remove them, more profit drops to the bottom line. You can operate almost undercover and gut the environment and go after labor and do all kinds of things that removes a lot of safety standards. And the Europeans are pretty upset about this.
Well, Ed, you're totally onto something, because, what the corporations say, how they sell this, is they say, listen, we just want efficiency. Yeah. It's ridiculous we're producing two different kinds of standards, have to have two inspections. Let's get rid of this redundancy. If we have one standard between the U.S. and the EU, everything will be much more profitable, products will be cheaper. So the consumer groups in the U.S. and Europe, we called their bluff. We said, okay, that's a fine thing theoretically. Let's have an agreement to have one standard, and that one standard will be whatever is the strongest provider of environmental, labor rights, consumer rights on either side. And that will be your one standard. No double testing, no two standards. Well, of course, that really called what they were for, because they went nuts. And, of course, they want the lowest standards between the two countries. They want it to be a drag-down agreement. They don't just want efficiency. They want exactly what you described, which is to put more profits to the bottom line by not having to basically follow rules that are necessary for these trade agreements not to harm our families. All
right, so we need people to call their representatives and their senators and let them know this is another lousy deal. We have to defeat these deals. It has nothing to do with isolationism. It has everything to do with protection of American lives, European lives, safety standards. And we're going to find out who runs the government, whether it's going to be the people or the corporations. And that's really what it comes down to. It was not a good trip for Obama on this trade stuff. He says America was ready and willing. They haven't even brought up any conversation about TTIP in the United States Congress yet. And Obama's over there saying the United States is ready and willing. That's because he's got fast track authority now. And so they'd have to do an up or down vote. So this TTIP could go through with absolutely no debate on the Senate or House floor, either for it or against it. And then it becomes a party line, and then it becomes also a political football, because these special interest groups will come in and cash whip your opponent, and you'll lose your job in an election. And that's how easy it works for these guys. In the meantime,
well,
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, here's the deal about that, though. At this moment, I can tell you, the thing that is most likely to take down the TTIP as far as a U.S. contribution, like our counterparts in Germany and some other countries may well do in the negotiations before they ever sign. But as Americans, our contribution is we need to make sure Congress cannot pass the TPP, that Trans-Pacific deal.
Yeah.
And that one is on very thin ice. And that's a fight that's going to be in the House of Representatives. So, folks, you may wonder if this makes a difference. Actually calling, not just emailing, but calling your member of Congress actually makes a difference. These calls get recorded. The information gets back to the member. There's a switchboard number at the Capitol. So even if you're not 100% sure who your House member is right now, you can literally just give your zip code and they will connect you. So here's a number you should write down. Giving everyone a chance to get some paper. 202-225-3121. 202-225-3121. Put that on your refrigerator in a yellow sticky because that's the number all the time. You can just give your zip code. If you don't know the name, you say, I want to talk to my representative. And they'll say, okay, where do you live? You give them the zip code. They will connect you. Ask for the chief of staff and leave them a message saying, I am a constituent. I live here. The congressman, the congresswoman, I want to know in writing, here is my address, give your address, whether he or she will commit to me to oppose the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Because the more of these folks we get out publicly again, and when we are able to show our counterparts in Europe, not just isn't the U.S. ready for the European deal, but Congress is about to vote down the Asian deal, that's going to be the end of the whole thing, and we can start over with some trade agreements that actually work for most of us.
Lori Wallach with a solution, Director of Public Citizens Global Trade Watch. Thanks, Lori. Great work. Great work overseas. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You bet. The News with Ed tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern on RT.com, Dish and Direct. We're back tomorrow. Have a good one.